Grace Matthews sighed and put down her pen. Her best friend Emily deserved a letter. She'd already sent 3 letters to Grace at Camp Lakeview, and Grace hadn't answered even one. But it took so long to write a letter, and there was always so much fun stuff to do at camp. Her copy of The Call of the Wild lay upside down at the foot of her bed, open to the last page she'd read. Grace grabbed it and pulled it half-heartedly onto her lap. Reading was almost as boring as writing. She glanced around bunk 3C at all her friends. Sure, some of them were reading or writing letters, but lots of them were busy doing more interesting stuff. Well, except for Chelsea, who seemed to be doing nothing but staring at herself in her hand mirror. Chelsea was beautiful, but it still had to be pretty boring to spend all your time looking at your own face. Grace shrugged and turned her attention to one of the other old-time campers like herself. "Hey, Bryn," Grace called down from her top bunk. "What on earth are you doing?" Bryn stood in the center of the small room, her feet planted about 10 inches apart on the scuffed wooden floor. She was bent over at the waist, her arms hanging down and her short, dark red hair falling over her face. She'd been standing like that for at least 2 minutes. "It's yoga," Bryn said, her voice muffled. She was speaking into her knees after all. "My mom gave me an article on visiting day about how lots of actors do yoga to keep themselves focused." Grace grinned. She loved acting, and she knew Bryn did too. In fact, it was the only real interest Bryn had. "Mind if I join you?" Bryn shook her upside-down head. Grace jumped down from her bunk, took her place next to Bryn, and copied the strange position. Just before she bent over, she noticed Julie, their counselor, shoot a look up at the unfinished letter and book on Grace's bed. Grace felt her cheeks grow warm, and she quickly leaned over so she wouldn't have to meet Julie's gaze. Hanging head down wasn't much better, though. All the blood rushed to her head, making her cheeks and neck feel hot. Her curly red hair was longer than Bryn's, and it kept getting in her eyes and covering her face. She moved to pull away a strand that had gotten caught in her mouth, but Bryn protested. "You're supposed to keep still," she said. "Don't move. Just pay attention to your breathing and to the stretch in your back muscles." "That's right, Grace. Don't forget to breathe," Jenna Bloom said from across the room. Jenna put on a slow, deep voice as if she were trying to hypnotize someone. "Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in some more," Jenna said in her soothing voice. Grace couldn't help it. She got the giggles. "How can I pay attention to my breathing when I can't breathe?" she asked. Leaning over like this made it hard to take a deep breath, and she felt herself getting a little dizzy. She stood up quickly and got a head rush. "Whoa!" she cried, stumbling backward. Luckily, Marissa, bunk 3C's CIT, or counselor in training, was there to catch her. "I'm not sure you're mellow enough to do yoga, Grace," Marissa joked. Bryn stood up very slowly. "It's too bad," she commented. "You could be such a good actress if you tried. Yoga could really help you be more centered." Grace decided to ignore her. Bryn's whole goal in life was to be a famous actor, and she could never understand why Grace wasn't as focused on that as she was. But to Grace, acting was just something fun to do. She loved it. She totally loved it. But mostly because it was easy, and she was good at it, and it gave her a chance to be someone else for a few minutes. She didn't need to be famous or anything. She just loved acting. Whenever things got tough in school, acting was her favorite way to escape from the pressure. But none of her bunkmates knew that. None of them had any idea how it was back at school. Summer camp was for fun, not stress, and that was exactly how Grace liked it. "There's no more time for yoga now anyway," Marissa said. "Dinner's ready. I just came back to grab my hairband. I forgot it." Marissa snatched a pink elastic band from her cot and took off. letting the screen door bang shut behind her as she scooped her long hair up into a ponytail. She and the other CITs were responsible for serving the meals in the mess hall. If you could call them meals. "Okay, everyone, let's go chow down," Julie called. "You don't have to tell me twice," Jenna joked, heading for the door. She was so athletic that she spent lots of time eating. She needed plenty of fuel to burn out on the soccer field. She, Alex, and Sarah were the big jocks in the bunk. Grace liked sports well enough, but she wasn't as obsessed with them as some of her friends. "I think it's spaghetti night," Alex said. She rolled her eyes at Bryn, her best friend. "In other words, cardboard strips and tomato soup," Bryn finished for her. They both laughed.